Hey friends out there in YouTube land, Robert Ham here with roberthamphotography.com, and I'm happy you joined me today. Today I'm just going to give you my thoughts on the new MacBook Pros, and in case anybody wants to get all exasperated and upset and everything, these are just my views. I like Mac. I've got a Mac sitting right here, okay? I've also got a Surface sitting right here. I've also got a Wacom tablet over there, okay? I've used all kinds of different things. I'm a photographer by nature, so what I'm looking for in a laptop, a desktop, is power, performance, and ergonomics. And the Mac, as far as I'm concerned, has some great new innovations, but I think they missed the mark. And I think they missed that mark on the iPad Pro, and I think they've missed the mark again with the MacBook Pro. It was another great opportunity. Let's first tell you the things that I absolutely love. Apple creates some of the best designed products in the world, period. Both on software as well as on hardware. They're great. They work well and they work forever. I've had this Mac. This is a 2012 MacBook Pro, and I mean, it's 4 years and it's still going strong. I use it for a majority of my video editing. Anything I'm going to do in 4K, I do on this MacBook Pro right here. Okay, so my point is longevity. People complain. They say Macs are too expensive. No, they're not. They last years. However, that's not something that you can say, let me rephrase, I got tongue-tied. That's not something that you can't say about Microsoft anymore. Whether you like Windows 10 or not, the new Surface Book, the new Surface Pro 4, the Surface Pro 3, that line of computing has really blossomed. And that's because, like Apple, Microsoft is able to take ownership of both the software and the hardware. Now, this isn't a comparison between the two, but let's talk about what Apple did to address something very important that they didn't address fully: touch. There's two very important things that I think are misses here. They're good, but they're not good enough. First of all, Apple knows how to make a touch screen display, period. Apple is the company that made an iPad and an iPhone work. They made touch work. So touch technology is in Apple's DNA. They can do it. Why Apple isn't bringing their touchscreen technology over to their laptops is something that doesn't make much sense. Now, you may have seen, and I urge you to go check out MKBHD's, that guy's excellent, his interview with Craig so-and-so from Apple, and they've got some great explanations as why. But I think those explanations are lacking. I think the reality is that they just don't have a way to continue to make the device thin as well as give a touch screen. Look at the laptop lid on that MacBook Pro. It's so thin, in fact, that they took out the LED, which would light up the actual Apple logo on the back of the laptop lid. There's no way currently that they can fit a touch screen in there right now. And I think that's an issue because Apple recognizes we want to interact with our computers by touching. See, they do. How do we know that they do? We know two ways, two very, very, very important ways. Number one, they made the trackpad much larger. And by doing so, they gave it more real estate, and they made sure that it works with the Apple Pencil so that you can draw on the trackpad very similarly that you would draw on a Wacom tablet. However, today, we don't need a Wacom tablet specifically. That's an augmentee. That's a peripheral. We don't need the tablet. We can just buy a Wacom Cintiq, or we can buy a Surface Pro. You can buy any number of books that actually have Intrigue or Wacom or touch technology that work with pins built directly into them. So the idea of a tablet is something that's becoming even more niche than it was before, because screen technology is coming out that allows you to have that benefit right on your notebook. So on my Surface, I don't need to worry about writing on the little screen or on the trackpad right here, because I write right there when I edit. If you guys watch any of my videos, you will recognize that I edit my photos in Lightroom and Photoshop directly on the screen of the Surface. When it's time to zoom in, I zoom in. When it's time to zoom out, I zoom out. I use the on-screen keyboard a lot. Sometimes I'll pop over to the physical keyboard, and even then, when I'm using the physical keyboard and I'm still editing like this, I still have the pen in my hand and I'm able to zoom and edit right here and use the physical keyboard. There's none of this going on right here, and that's a distraction for me. Now, is it an upgrade? Is it a benefit for you? Is it something that you weren't able to do before on your Mac? Absolutely. Yeah, there's no doubt that it's a feature, but it's not as far reaching of a feature as you would imagine. You get a 3x5 card basically. I'm elaborating on the size. I'm just paraphrasing the size. You get this large trackpad to draw on. Wouldn't you rather draw on your screen? For those of you that say, no, I don't want to draw on my screen, I don't know why not. I've been drawing on the Surface Pro 3 screens ever since I got the Surface Pro 3 when it first came out. So it's 2 years now that I've been using a workflow that is on the screen rather than on the keyboard, and that's huge. Let's talk about the touch strip that Apple created, the new function row, that long OLED panel that they have up there in place of the function keys. I love it. It's great. What an excellent way for a keyboard to be able to slide through photos. What an excellent way to be able to scrub through. I saw how they had Final Cut Pro on there. How great to see your whole timeline. But let's not kid ourselves here. It doesn't give you the functionality that you would have if you were operating right on the screen. See, even with Premiere Pro on here, and on my Surface Pro 4, I edit 2 and 3 streams, A-roll and B-roll on here, 30 frames a second, and at 1080p, and it does fine. On this device, for me, you know, if I go up to 60 frames a second, I'm going to do 1 stream. And if I'm going to 4K, then I need to put my resolution playback in Premiere Pro down to right around 1/8. I don't have those issues here, okay? So recognizing the differences, there's 2 tools to do 2 things, right? If I'm working in 4K from a wedding video, great. If I'm doing a vlog post, I can do it here or on the phone. It's just what I'll do. But the point of the matter is that I can do so much work right here because I'm able to work on the screen, okay? I don't need to scrub. I could care less about scrubbing, right? That's ancillary to the entire experience. It's just not as essential. It's only essential when you have a device that you can't interact with by touch. And the reason that becomes the case is because it then gives you the ability to use your transport controls in order to move forwards and backwards in your timeline, or scroll through photos. That's great, but wait a minute, don't we have gestures on our fingers? Let's just kind of tie this back in. The Mac's got the pad. I can scroll in my photo library just by scrolling left and right with my fingers. In fact, I can view my files in File Browser in Finder just by scrolling up and down with a 2 or 3 finger scroll. You know, so my point is, adding an extra piece of hardware to accomplish that task doesn't give us as consumers what we really need and what we really want. And what that is the ability to be able to interact by touching the screen of our laptop, our desktop, our hybrid device, our convertible. And that's really where computing is going. Gone are the days of like the tablets and like the big PCs and even the laptops that just do one thing. Now roles for your media, your mobile device, are all being blended together. Now don't quote me wrong. Those trolls out there, listen to what I say before you go bonkers. I said gone are the days of your devices having singular roles. This device has a singular role. You know, it's a workstation. This device has a multiple role. It's not just a workstation. It works as a tablet. It works as document signing. It also works as like a Wacom digitizer, because I can do things on it without having to add things to it. I can fulfill multiple roles in whatever I need to do. So this is kind of like mission specific. I can augment it however I'd like. And this is more like generally specific. That doesn't mean that the powers between the two are so greatly outnumbered or so similar that we can't compare them. In fact, we're not really trying to compare them. What we're trying to say, what I'm trying to get across, and I think you've got it here, say it with me, is that we needed to see touchscreen implemented on the Mac. And the reason that we didn't wasn't a good reason. The reason we didn't was just because they wanted to make it so thin and so light that we didn't have it. And that's fine. That's what we got. Apple gave us that. And so to make up for it, we got an upgraded trackpad, That's always a plus. Don't get me wrong, it's always a plus. And we got this new cool function bar. That's a plus too. But it doesn't make up for the fact that if we could actually pinch and zoom with our fingers right here, there would be no need to try to pinch and zoom here. If we could actually draw up here, there would be no need to try to draw down here. And that's what I'm getting at. They didn't go far enough. Guys, I'm Robert Ham with roberthamphotography.com. Catch me over on Twitter at RobHamPhoto. You can find me on both Facebook and YouTube at /RobertHamPhotography. And if you don't know about me, I am giving away one of my cameras. I love photography. Film photography especially is something that I hold very close to my heart. This is an Olympus 35 RC. I'm giving it and some of its brothers and sisters away live on YouTube, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on November 20th. All you have to do to be in that drawing is subscribe. It's a giveaway. I'll ship it to you. Anywhere that's got an address that the Postal Service will deliver to, I'll put it in the mail and have it over to you. The nice part about this is these cameras have all had a recent clean lubrication and adjust new light seals and are ready to use right out of the box. They're not new, they're vintage, they're old, and they're great. I absolutely love them. Check out some of my videos on shooting with the Olympus 35 RC on my YouTube channel. You're right here. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And as always, thanks for watching.